Hey guys, my name is Dion. I do Pokemon videos and vlogs. I don't know if I'm still doing it on the same channel. I'll probably post my first one on this channel. I don't know yet. I guess it's just going to be a mixed bag for now. Today we're going to find out how fast I can beat Pokemon Heart Gold casually. Alright, so I'm aiming for 15 hours. So I'm like, okay, 15 hours. I feel like that's good enough because I'm only going to be using the Pokemon that are definitely going to help me with all the gym leaders, Elite Four, and Champion. So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna just use these Pokemon and these Pokemon only, and hope for the best amount of experience for these, and hopefully I'll be able to beat it. But obviously some things don't turn out as planned, and we're just gonna go ahead and go through it and just show you how everything happened. So we get our Totodile, and then Professor Elm said that we should go to Professor Oak. So we had our way there, and then while we were leaving, Professor Elm called and said, hey, somebody stole a Pokemon, and we were like, oh shoot, okay. So we're running back into town, and then we ran into the person who stole it, and now we gotta face him. So he starts talking trash, and I was like, alright, bet. So I whoop out my Totodile, and I just started scratching, and then 2 seconds later, I won. This man was not even a challenge. Finally, I could head my way to the professor's lab, and then there's a police officer describing the dude. I named him Turd, and we finally move on. With that, we can finally start our journey and try to beat this game as fast as possible, casually. Our first Pokemon on the list is getting a Pidgey. In hindsight, I should have got a Spearow, but hey, it is what it is. After that, we headed to the Bellsprout Tower, did everything you needed to do there. Now it's time for the gym leader. So he sends out a Pidgey, and I send out my Totodile. I use Water Gun. I got it to half health. It uses Sand Attack, which lowers my accuracy. I use Water Gun again, and this time I got a crit. This is going way too easy. I love it. Next, he sends out a Pidgeotto, and I keep in Totodile. I use Water Gun. It didn't do much. It used Gust. It didn't do that much to me either. After that, it started using Roost. I hit a scratch for a critical hit, and then it kept using Roost over and over and over again. I was so tired of it. I'm about to shoot this bird, I swear. After a while, it got me to 3 HP, but I hit back with a Water Gun. I got a critical hit, and I beat it. It was insane. Professor Elm talks to us and tells us that there's an egg that he wants us to hatch. So we go to the Pokemon to go get it. I will say in the footage, as you see here, I talked to the wrong person. I felt so dumb when I realized I didn't have it in my bag, but I went ahead and got it. I don't have the footage for it, but I do have it. This will also be another member on our team. From Violet City to Azalea Town, which we are in right now, I faced a bunch of the trainers and obviously walked around a lot, and our Togepi is almost ready to hatch. So right here, I just spent a couple minutes running up and down until we were able to hatch it. So for Togepi, you do need happiness, so I decided to start switch training with all the trainers that are in the bug gym until it was time to actually face the gym leader. Okay, I am not afraid to admit this did take me a good 8 tries. This Scyther was cracked. I'm telling you, it was insane. I think the whole footage round took about 20 minutes, but I'm just gonna show you the time that I won. So he starts off with a Scyther, and I use Whirlwind so I could switch it out. I used Gust to take down the Metapod, and I was able to knock it out in one shot. Next, he sends out the Scyther again, but I wanted to face that thing last, so I use Whirlwind again. But it uses a quick attack, and it did some damage to us, which really sucks, but it is what it is. I drag out the Kakuna, and I'm hoping that we could one-shot it again, just like the Metapod. It lives on red HP. How crazy is that? It uses a poison sting, and luckily for me, I didn't get poisoned. After that, it used a super potion. I used Gust again, and I was able to get her to red HP, and then one more Gust, we were able to knock it out. All right, so this is where the real problem starts to appear, because if you didn't remember 2 seconds ago, I just told y'all it took me so many attempts before I was able to beat this gym. So I did have a strategy, but it was like not even 50-50. Like 9 times out of 10, I was gonna lose with this strategy, but I decided to do it anyway. So I sent out my Totodile, and I used Bite, hoping that maybe I could get a flinch. It does U-turn and does more than half. I tried using a Bite again, but it used U-turn before me, and it knocked me out. So I was only able to do a little bit of damage, but hey, a little damage is better than no damage. So I sent out my Pidgeotto. It uses Focus Energy. I used Gust. I got it to half health, but the berry healed it up. It uses Quick Attack. I'm getting a little worried. I used Gust, and I got it to orange HP. After that, it used Quick Attack, and I use Gust, and we're both on red HP. I use Quick Attack. He uses Quick Attack, but his is faster. The only thing I got left is a small little weak Togepi. I used Extra Sensory knowing that I was gonna get knocked out. I got Quick Attack, lived on 1 HP, and I knocked it out. 1 HP! 1 HP! Holy cow! Togepi went crazy. So after you beat the gym, you'll face your rival and then you'll be able to head into the forest. Once you complete the little puzzle in the forest, you can talk to one of the dudes in the forest and they'll give you headbutt. With headbutt, you can get encounters by hitting the tree, and if you keep searching around enough, you'll be able to find a Heracross in Azalea Town. I will say, go ahead and stock up on some Pokeballs and like find a low level Pokemon, because I swear this turd is such an ass, bro. I swear. My second video in this game will be catching all the Pokemon in the Pokédex, but while I'm playing the regular game, I'm going to catch some Pokemon that are kind of required to catch. If not, it just makes life harder, like the Sudowoodo, the Red Gyarados, and then obviously the encounters that I'm going to take to beat the league. So I just want to get that out there before I forget. Also, I'm just going to say that everything is going to be speed running now, so I'm just go from gym to gym to gym to gym, because that's honestly all that really happens. That's all the stuff I recorded. I'm trying a different way on how I record my stuff, because usually I record everything, but now I'm just like recording the more important fights. So we're just gonna see how this goes, and now we're gonna go back to the video. All right, after doing a flash step, we're finally here in the third gym, and honestly I'm a little scared. I don't want this to take too long, because like I said, I am trying to speed run, and currently I'm on like 4 hours if I remember correctly. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. And I honestly don't remember. I recorded this a while ago, so let's just see how this goes. So Whitney sends out a Clefairy and I send out Heracross. I'm faster, so I land a Brick Break and we're able to knock it out one shot. Okay, everything's looking promising. I like how this is going. Next, Whitney sends out her Milk Tank, and honestly, I was pretty freaked out. I was like, dang, I won't be surprised if I lose. So Milk Tank lands first and uses Stomp. Luckily for me, I didn't get flinched. I land a Brick Break and I was able to do more than half. I was like, ooh, I'm feeling lucky. I go for another Brick Break. Milk Tank uses Stomp first, but this time I got flinched and I was like, dang, I'm starting to freak out. So it used another Stomp, but this time it didn't land. I land the Brick Break and I was able to win. I got so scared so fast. It was insane, but we won. Honestly, I was worried over nothing, but hey, all is well if it ends well. So after we're done with this, we could go next door and talk to this lady who gives us a water bottle so that we can spray it on the Sudowoodo. So let's go ahead and do that. So, we caught it. All right, next gym. Let's see how this goes. So Morty sends out a Ghastly and I send out my Togetic. Oh my god, when did it evolve? It evolved at some point. Ghastly used Curse, which lowered its HP by half. I used Extra Sensory and I was able to knock it out, but now I'm cursed, so the damage output is freaking insane. So I go ahead and switch out to a different Pokemon. That way my Togetic will stay alive. So I send out my Crocodile and he sends out a Haunter. Haunter uses Hypnosis and I fell into a deep sleep, which already sucked. And then it used Dream Eater. So I'm like, dang, well, I hope I could get out. So I keep spamming Bite, but I keep getting Dream Eater. It was just so bad. Like, all 3 turns, my dream was eaten. I didn't even stand a chance, so I freaking flopped on that end. So I sit on my Togetic. It uses Hypnosis again, but it missed. I used Extra Sensory, and I was able to knock it out one shot. That was crazy. I still can't believe my Crocodile didn't land one hit. Next, he sends out his Gengar. I used Yawn, and Gengar used Mean Look, so now I can't leave. Gengar used a Sucker Punch, and then I used an Extra Sensory and I was able to get it to half, but it had a Citrus Berry, so it just went back up. Now it's asleep, so now I'm just able to land Extra Sensories so that hopefully I can knock it out. I got it to red HP, but it used a Hyper Potion. I used the same move again, and this time I got it to orange HP, and then I did it one more time and knock it out. I'd say that Yawn probably saved me if I'm being honest. Next is its last Pokemon, which is a Haunter. It used Mean Look again, so I can't leave. I used Extra Sensory and I was able to get it to 1 HP. I was so mad. I was like, bro, I could have won. It used the Hyper Potion and I used Extra Sensory again, but this time I was able to fully knock it out and winning the battle. So after beating Morty, I head to Olivine City where I have to go to the light tower and I gotta go get some medicine for this Ampharos. So I cross the Grand Line, and since I'm there, I might as well face Chuck. So he has a Primeape and I have my Heracross. My Heracross knows Aerial Ace, so I'm gonna just start spamming Aerial Ace until I'm able to kill it. Dead. Moving on. Alright, next is Poliwrath. I use Aerial Ace, and it did okay amount of damage, but nothing crazy. Poliwrath uses Body Slam, and it got me to orange HP. I use Leer. Poliwrath uses Surf. I use Aerial Ace one more time. I got the crit, and I knocked it out. It's too easy. So after talking to his wife, she gives us Fly, very kind lady. And then we went back to Olivine City to go save that Ampharos, and now we can fight the gym leader. Plan? Who needs a plan? Brute force all the way. At this point, I'm like 7-8 hours in, and I feel like I'm doing okay so far. She sends out a Magnemite, I got my hair crossed out, and I'm gonna brick break everything in sight. That's 1. That's 2. That's, oh wait, never mind. Oop. I land like 3 Leers, Steelix lands maybe 1 Iron Tail. I use brick break. I crit. Come on now, it's too easy. So after beating Jasmine, we make our way to Mahogany Town where we have to head to Lake of Rage. Now, one thing I didn't know is that, like, surfing, you could just randomly find a Gyarados. That's never happened before. Like, I don't even know if that's rare or not, because that's never happened to me before. Anyways, we get our red Gyarados, because we're gonna need this as our Pokédex entry for my next video that's coming up, so I might as well just get it here when I can. So we talk to Lance, and we uncover a hidden Team Rocket hideout. And while we were there, I don't have the footage for some reason, but I swear I caught an Electroid, because that's the only place I know you can get one. Alright, we don't care about Team Rocket. Moving on to the Ice Gym. So Price sends out a Seal, and I send out Heracross. I used Brick Break where I got it to orange HP, and Seal used Icy Wind. I used Brick Break one more time, and I was able to knock it out. Next, Price sends out a Dugong, and Dugong uses Aurora Beam first. After that, I use a Brick Break, and I got it to red HP, so Price decided to use a Hyper Potion, while I went for another Brick Break. I got it to red HP again, and Dugong this time used Rest, but I never gave up, so I used Brick Break again. Dugong used Sleep Talk, but I don't know how it worked. Either way, it didn't work. I used Brick Break and I was able to knock it out. Next, he sends out a Pillow Swine, and I go ahead and start using Brick Break again. I got it to orange HP, but it has a berry, so it healed itself up. I used Blizzard, but it missed. I used another Brick Break with a critical hit, and I won. I don't know about you, but I'm flying through this. And I don't know if you noticed, but I swear every time I started with Heracross, the last Pokemon always gets knocked out by a critical hit. I don't know, call me crazy. I'm gonna admit this just because this is how bad it really was. This fight probably took me 10 to like 14 tries, I swear. Like, everything was so easy up until this point. I swear I spent a whole bunch of my hours between this and something that happens later on. Obviously, I'm just gonna show you the attempt where I won, but I swear I was so over this. I'm pretty sure after this, I stopped playing for today. So as you saw, I just used Pidgeotto to get as much damage as possible. So after that, I sent out Togetic. Gyarados uses Dragon Rage twice while I use Yawn and Wish. After it fell asleep, I decided to use an Ancient Power. And then after that turn, Wish finally came up, and I healed myself. And honestly, I just kept doing this over and over and over again until I was finally able to knock it out. I was so over it too. It was insane. We just kept going back and forth. Hyper Potion, I used my Wish, it was crazy. Next was Dragonair, and it uses Dragon Pulse. I use Yawn, I get slammed, and Togetic faints. But it's still good though, because we sent out for Alligator. We used 2 Ice Fangs without taking any damage, and we were able to knock it out. We get another Dragonair, we use Ice Fang. We get Frozen, we use another Ice Fang, and we were able to knock this one out as well, the same way as last time. It's too easy! Finally, we're on to the last Pokemon, which is a Kingdra. Kingdra uses Dragon Pulse, I use Ice Fang. I land the Frozen, and then I just start using Crunch. But it had a berry, so it healed itself up, but I kept spamming Crunch. I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to win. It uses a full restore. I'm gonna lose. Don't make me do this all over again. I refuse. I land a Crunch, and then I start using Ice Fang again because I was like, crap, please get the Frozen. I get to red HP, and I know I'm doomed because Kingdra is faster. It uses a Hydro Pump, and it knocks me out. Everything was going so easy. So I send out Heracross, I get Smoke Screen, and I start spamming Horn Attack. I get Hyper Beamed, I use Close Combat, and I got the crit again with Heracross. How crazy is that? This happened like 4 times. I mean, you know, This was easy, you know, no problem. Anyways, we could get Ho-Oh. Alright, no joke, this took me way too long to figure out this goddamn puzzle. Like, I've already done it once, and it took me a long time. But this one took the cake, okay? It took me 10 more years to freaking solve the puzzle. No joke, you can tell from my voice, I was so done with this puzzle. Alright, let's catch it and move on. Alright, it's Elite Four time, and let's go ahead and get started. So Will sends out a Xatu, I have my Feraligatr, and I use Crunch. I was able to get it orange, but I got Confuse Raid. I land the Crunch, and I was able to knock it out. The next Pokemon was Jinx, and I sent out my Heracross. So I used Close Combat, and I was able to one-shot that as well. He sends out another Xatu. Like and subscribe. But this time I get Psychic, but it didn't do that much, and I used Crunch, and I was able to get it an orange HP like last time. But this time, Xatu had a berry. It used Psychic again, and I used Crunch, and then I was able to knock it out. Next Pokemon was Executor. I decided to keep in and use Crunch. I was able to get it a little less than half. Executor used Psychic, and it knocked me out. So I decided I want to do some overkill and send out Ho-Oh. Then I used Sacred Fire to knock it out. Next Pokemon was Slowbro. After switching somebody in and reviving and restoring my Feraligator's HP, I use Crunch while it's sleeping. I use Headbutt so that in the zone where I'll be able to knock it out with Crunch. With Headbutt, I was able to land a flinch so it didn't hit me at all. I use another Crunch and I was able to beat it. With that, we beat the first Elite Four member, Will. On to the next. Now we're going to fight the second Elite Four member, Koga. He sends out an Ariados. I send out Ho-Oh. I put a Sunny Day because I'm finna smoke everything. And then I use Fire Blast and I one-shotted the Ariados. Next, he sends out a Fortress. I use Fire Blast. He uses Protect. I use Fire Blast one more time and I was able to knock it out. Next, he sends out a Muck. I use Extra Sensory. I do more than half. That turd uses Toxic. I do one more Extra Sensory and I was able to knock it out. Alright, I'm gonna skip this part because I was just straight up stupid. All you need to know is I switched out to a different Pokemon and did absolutely nothing, and that Pokemon died. I switched back into Ho-Oh, I used Extra Sensory, and I was able to knock it out. Next was a Venomoth. I got Psychic twice, I used Extra Sensory twice, but I came up on top. And just like that, we beat the second Elite Four member. On to the next. Now we face Bruno, the third member of the Elite Four. He sends out a Hitmontop, I send out Pidgeot. I use Fly, hoping that I was going to be able to one-shot it. It backfires, I get countered, and I get freaking knocked out. Already a bad start. So I sent out Togetic so I could finish the job. I took a hit, but I wasn't worried. I used Extra Sensory. This dude's literally on 1 HP, and I'm like, alright, yup. My Pokemon are butt. I didn't train them enough. I do my favorite combo with Togetic. I use Yawn, I use Wish, and then I used Extra Sensory. I set up another Wish. I used Extra Sensory again, and I was able to knock it out. That alone made me realize that this is going to be a lot harder than I thought. He sends out a Hitmonchan. I go ahead and use Yawn. I get Thunder Punch, and I'm like, dang, I'm so screwed. And then I was like, wait a minute. My Heracross knows Aerial Ace, no problem. I get Ice Punch. I switch back into Togetic. Thinking that I was big brain, he woke up next turn. I thought I was doing something. I sent out Heracross, and I use Aerial Ace. I was able to knock it down more than half. I get Fire Punch, left me at 25. But since I'm faster, I land one more Aerial Ace and I was able to knock it out. Okay, a little redemption arc. Next was a Hitmonlee, so I decided to switch into Feraligatr just because I had more health. Swagger Miss, I used Crunch, didn't do as much as I thought. I used Crunch like a dummy. I get High Jump kicked, but I do an Ice Fang that got it on red HP. I'm like, crap, that did a lot of damage. This time, it did land the Swagger and I hit myself. So I was like, alright, let me just try this again. I get High Jump kicked, I lose. No redemption arc. From the last two, this one was way harder. And it shouldn't be. This one should probably be the easiest. I sent out Ho-Oh, I used Extra Sensory, and I was finally able to knock it out. Next was the Onix. I used Close Combat, and I was able to slap that out of here. You know, now that I think about it, I wonder what I was drinking. I don't remember. All I know, it wasn't water. The Machamp comes out. I used the wrong move. I used Close Combat, but hey, it still did a lot of damage, so I was like, okay, not bad. But then it had a Citrus Berry, and then I was like, dang. And then I got Rock Slide, and then I was like, dang, I'm screwed. So I sent out my last Pokemon, and I used Extra Sensory. I was able to get it a red HP, honestly surprised. I get Rock Slide, and I lived on 8 HP. That was freaking crazy. I thought I was gonna have to do this all over again. It used the full restore and I totally forgot that it could heal itself. I do an Extra Sensory and I didn't even do half, but then I remembered, like, wait a minute, this ain't even a challenge. Let me go ahead and just use my Max Revive. So I use it on Heracross. My Ho-Oh dies. I used the Aerial Ace. It didn't kill, and that's when I thought to myself, you know what? I should have just used Close Combat. I get Rock Slide, I used another Aerial Ace, and I was able to knock it out. Honestly, this one sucked. I was just probably doing the worst plays ever. So I was actually trying to do this all in one day, but then I was like, man, you know what? Let me go sit my ass down, bro. I was so tired. But here comes maybe one of my favorite Elite Four members, just because of that one cold line she says, and I don't care. That's pretty cool to me. Alright, I'm lying. She's also hot. So she sends out an Umbreon and I send out Heracross. I already know this Umbreon is about to be tanky, but I'm just hoping that close combat could finish it off. And ooh, I was so close. I was on that 1 HP. I get Feint Attack. She uses a full restore. So, you know, I try again and hoping this time that I can do it, but I do even less. I'm like, dang. That's tough. But with one more, I was able to finish it off. And honestly, I'm more glad I was able to get it out the way because I really don't have anything that's strong enough to take it out. So Karen's next Pokemon was Murkrow, so I decided to switch into Pidgeot because if I left Heracross in, I would have got whooped, and I don't really have anything that's too strong against this Murkrow. I get plugged while I set up for Fly, and it did so much damage. I was like, dang, it's only a first stage evolution. I finally land the Fly, and I do a little bit more than half. I get Sucker Punch to 8 health, and I'm like, holy cow. This thing's cracked. But I used Fly again and I was able to get it to 1 HP. I was like, bro, how? After that, I used Quick Attack because it has priority and I was able to beat it. But all I gotta say is my Pidgeot is butt. I send out my Feraligatr and she sends out her Gengar. The plan is simple. I'm gonna just use Crunch until I'm able to kill it. But I didn't realize this thing had Focus Blast. I was like, when did it have that? I didn't kill it, but I still did a good amount of damage. It used Destiny Bond, so I was like, dang, that's tough. Because that means if I kill it, that means it's going to take me with it. So I was like, what? Oh, well. I mean, at least I killed it, I guess. If that was a Nuzlocke, I would have cried. I send out my Heracross and she sends out her Vileplume. I use Aerial Ace. I got a critical hit, but I still wasn't able to finish it off, which really sucked. I got paralyzed, and then I got Petal Dance, but it didn't do much. I landed another one, and I was able to knock that one out. That was probably the easiest battle I had yet. Alright, next is probably the scariest Pokemon on our whole team. I send out Togetic. She sends out Houndoom. The plan is I'm gonna use every single Pokemon to knock this thing out. I do not care. I use John. Houndoom uses Dark Pulse and freaking knocks me out one shot. That's crazy. At least this time I was able to make it go to sleep. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and just start using close combat. Maybe I'll be able to take it out. And finally something went my way and I was able to knock it out one shot. Thank you. Like, give me a break. All right, so I was looking at the footage that I needed to get, and then my memory also kicked in, and I realized in this attempt I actually lost to Lance and I had to restart everything over again. I forgot to save, so I pretty much did it all over again, and I think I was just a little bit more unlucky. I was still able to get to the champion, and let's go ahead and face it because this video is long. You can already tell how tired I was. Just look at me, look at my stance, and look how much I do not care. I've done this fight at least 30 times and I am so over it. I have Togetic, and I was able to land at least one yawn before I was knocked out, and I was able to put the Gyarados to sleep. With Pidgeot, I used Feather Dance twice, and then I decided to switch into Feraligatr where I used Headbutt. Gyarados woke up and used Dragon Pulse, and I kept using Headbutt until it needed a full restore. After that, it switched into an Aerodactyl. It used Rock Slide, so I died. So I sent out Gyarados. I get Thunder Fang to 16 HP, but with a Waterfall, I was able to beat it. Aerodactyl was my worst nightmare. This thing freaking sucked, and like 9 times out of 10, that was the thing that killed me. So I got super lucky that I was able to finish it off. I sent out Pidgeot and I tried using Feather Dance, but I get Dragon Rush, so I didn't end up doing anything. I switched into Ho-Oh, and this is where I decided to start using my revives and potions to heal up my Pokemon up. Ho-Oh came in clutch because I was able to revive and use a Hyper Potion on the one Pokemon that I needed. So I sent out Gyarados. Thunder misses. I land an Ice Fang, but Thunder hits this time and it knocked me out. Next, I sent out my Feraligatr. I get Hyper Beam, but I land an Ice Fang and I was able to knock it out. He sends out another Dragonite and I send out my Heracross, and pretty much I do the same thing that I did with Ho-Oh, and I start reviving the Pokemon that I need. And when I thought I was only going to be able to revive one more Pokemon, Dragonite misses and I was able to get my Ho-Oh back up. Then it missed again, and then I was able to use a Hyper Potion on my Ho-Oh as well. So I sit on my Gyarados and I get paralyzed. I still land the Ice Fang and the Dragonite gets frozen, so I took this opportunity to heal any status effect and heal up any Pokemon that I wanted alive. Once I was done, I used my Gyarados and I used Ice Fang to finish off the Dragonite. And then here comes another Dragonite. I get Outrage and I faint. So I sent out Pidgeot. I was able to use 2 Feather Dance before I was taken out with 2 Outrages. Because I used Outrage, it got confused. I switched into Ho-Oh, and then I get my final preparations completed. After I was done, I used Fire Blast, and then I was gonna finish it off with a Sacred Fire, but it switched into Gyarados, so I decided to switch out. So I switched into Heracross because Heracross was not gonna be very useful. I used Close Combat before it fainted. I used Ho-Oh and Extra Sensory, and I wasn't able to kill it. It uses a full restore. I was able to land one more extra sensory before it took me out. I sent out for Alligator. I was able to land 4 headbutts. With one of the headbutts, I was able to land a flinch. I did get flailed though. That was about it. In this run, Gyarados was such a turd, I swear. I switch into Gyarados. It sends out its Dragonite. I get Outrage. I use Ice Fang and I was able to knock it out. Finally, the last Pokemon. He sends out a Charizard. I get Air Slash critical hit, so I had to switch out. I send out for Alligator. I use Surf. I get the critical hit. Oh my god! Oh my god, that was like freaking 50 attempts. Jesus Christ, I am done with this man. Okay, I knew my team was trash, but Lord, I did not know it was gonna take so freaking long. And with that, we finally beat Pokemon Heart Gold. It took me 27 hours and 24 minutes to beat the game. The one thing I know took forever was clearly the champion and the 8th gym leader and the training I had to do, and it still wasn't enough. I was still getting clapped. With that, we did a speed run in Heart Gold with 27 hours and 24 minutes. As you saw throughout that whole video, you saw me throughout whole different days, and you finally see me when I finally look my best. Like, I know I had my hair all ugly. I know I look beat up. It looked like I didn't sleep in weeks. But this is what I actually look like. I actually look okay, but not good, but okay. Also, you might have noticed that as of right now, you see me have a light. And when I was playing the game, I did not have a light. That's because I finally somewhat got a light. I'm using like a Duat light to light up this area. So don't flame me too much, but yeah, I have that going on right now. I'll get one eventually. I'm too broke right now. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. I got more videos coming soon. I got 2 more videos with this specific copy of Pokemon Heart Gold, and then I have 2 vlogs. One is just like a kind of what I do in one day, and then another one is a vacation trip to the beach. I will say also from now on, I'll stream Tuesdays and Fridays. I'll be streaming at 2 EST on Tuesdays and 4 EST on Fridays. And during these streams, I do just chatting or just doing stuff for my Pokemon videos for YouTube. Hopefully later on, I'll be able to play different games, not just Pokemon, but probably more like Nintendo focused until I get a real capture card. Don't be shy to pop up. I'm always down to chat, and I always read every message that comes by. And so with that, I appreciate you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will say, do you like the different background? My old setup was just a little too boring. It was just a blank wall, but I thought, you know what? What if I just add the stuff behind me? You know, maybe it'll look a little bit more, I don't know, maybe more realistic. So with that, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.